Hi folks, Stoo from Stoo's Secret Stash here today, and a bit of a funny one today, a bit of an interesting change of filming if you like, and that is if you follow my channel at all, you would know that it's all about cars, travel and music, and I'm not going to go too far away from that. I'm still going to focus on the cars part. But I'm here in what looks like a wrecking yard today for a very good reason. I'm often asked, what is Stoo's Secret Stash and why do you call your channel Stoo's Secret Stash? Well, here's your chance to find out, folks. Over the years, I've got my own collection of, a private collection, if you like, of cars that are either in roadworthy condition or future restoration projects, and they are my own personal collection. And outside of that, of course, you know, if you're a true enthusiast, you'll often have to have a parts car or two or three. So over the years, I've collected an interesting and diverse range of vehicles, and there came a time when I decided that I needed to delve into spare parts and spare parts cars. Now, room is always a hassle, and I'm very fortunate that I've got a very good friend who was able to give me some land to put my vehicles on. But my ex-wife at the time was happy for me to do it, but didn't want to know about it. She said, as long as those vehicles don't come around home, you can play with those vehicles as much as you like. So over the years, I've collected a vast array of vehicles to go down to what we call Stoo's Secret Stash, because this was my stash away from home, vehicles that I wasn't allowed to take home unless I was going to restore them and put them back on the road. And I have done that with a couple of vehicles. But today, the collection has grown a little bit, and they're not just parts cars of cars that I own. Often I get contacted by people that have a rusty or a car they no longer have a use for, and they simply say to me, you know, here, it's available for a small fee, or come and get it, I don't have the storage space, and they come here. And sometimes I'm able to put those cars on the road and keep them or sell them. Other times they become cars that I wreck and use the parts for keeping other cars on the road, and that's the premise behind Stoo's Secret Stash. Now, I've got different cars at different times, but there's nearly always a flavour, and that is Aussie and English cars. Now, they're very often very rusty and very well worn out and unloved, but I try to recycle or use the parts as much as I can. So we're going to have a very quick look at Stoo's Secret Stash as it stands here at the moment in October 2025. Have a look at what I've currently got in stock. Well, the first thing that I've got is something I probably should never have bought, in all honesty, but I did, and maybe someone has use for it. It's a pod to fit on the back of a ute. It's actually a Telstra pod, and it has been somewhat damaged, unfortunately, but mostly flat metal, and would be able to be built into something very, very useful, whether it's a camper or whether you keep it with the tools. And it would make a very, very interesting addition to a ute or a truck, or you may even like to put it on stands and keep it in your tool, keep your tools in it at your shed or something, which is something I may do if I don't sell it to somebody. So yeah, if you're keen, let me know. Got about an 88 Range Rover here, but it's been well and truly picked over. I bought it like this, or I actually didn't buy it, I got given this car. It had the suspension and the chassis completely removed, and it was going onto an earlier Land Rover, I should say, with the 3.9 litre V8. So this is just a shell. It's just for spare parts. It's very rough. But it's just for spare parts, and that's all it's good for. Moving over here is My old Shannon's trailer. I used to use this trailer when I worked for Shannon's many years ago. I only resigned this year, but this particular, I've got to get this painted. I've got to fiddle with the hinges and so forth, and hopefully put it back on the road. As when I resigned from Shannon's, they knew that the trailer was in tired condition, and it was actually given to me as a present. So we'll see if I can get this back on the road. It would be something I would like to do. We've got a VW van. I think they call these T5s. But as you can see here, I'm only using it for storage. It's used for storage. And I don't know if you can see inside there what's in there. The remains of a couple of bonnets and underguards and so forth. And I only use that for spare parts. Moving here, the old chrome bumper van, and unfortunately the steering on it is terrible, and the gearbox went on it, so it was driven to this place of rest, and it too now is used for storage and storage only. So if you're after any parts for a Nissan van, which is what I believe this is, I don't know, I'm not an enthusiast about Nissans. Come on down or contact me, I should say. You might not know where it is. Contact me and let me know, and I'll see if I can help you with it. Moving over here, we've got a VR Commodore. Just a 6-cylinder Commodore. It's complete, but it's rough. I actually drove it to here. It does actually drive, and it does clean up quite well. It's complete. I was going to use it to put an old SS Commodore that I've got on the road, scavenge a lot of parts off it, but we've just been too busy and haven't got to that point at this stage. So whether I sell that to somebody or whether I use it in the long-term future, who knows? I'm not actually sure. Underneath this canopy here, see if I can lift this without it folding in there. I won't take it off right now, but it's a complete motor for a Leyland Terrier. So almost the same as a Leyland P76, 4.4 litre all alloy motor, and has a lower compression. So it's slightly different, but almost the same as a Leyland P76. And the block is, I'm told, is exactly the same. It's the accessories and the compression, and it's got more power down low. You can see I've got wheels strewn around the place, the Rover SD1 wheels there. Got some Land Rover wheels in the corner. Now over here, very rusty car, but I'm actually keeping it for parts because I'm getting a Series 1 Rover SD1 3500, which is what this is, and I'm going to salvage the parts off this car, which unfortunately came to me with no windscreen and needing lots of work, and I'm going to be using the parts, possibly even the motor, but although I do have other options as well. And I'm going to be putting this car, well, it won't actually be this car, I've got another body shell lined up. This one's well and truly cactus. It's seen better days, so I'm going to be using the body shell of another car. Unfortunately, this is a very attractive car in this color and hasn't actually done many miles, but yeah, it had a rough life, and you can see the damage here, and you can't see the bend, but it's actually bent here a little bit where it actually hit a gate and smashed all the front window, and the guy ended up in prison and for various means, and I scored the car after it had been sitting in storage for about 20 odd years. But anyway, this car will live again, but hence under a different body. Got a complete body shell minus motor and transmission, and probably a few other bits and pieces, and it will go on the road in the long-term future. Behind the Rover, I've got unfortunately, somewhat tired. I bought the car hoping I might be able to put it back on the road, but it's just very, very rusty. So it's a Rover P6 3500. or some people say you call it a 3005. And it will be a parts car, unfortunately, because it is very, very rusty. It's not often that you can hear that. Look at that. That's just bog and crap and yeah, that's just a hole there. Look at that. That's just falling to pieces. So unfortunately, this complete car, which is a good runner, will become the body and soul of another car or other cars in the future. But that's a Rover P6. It's got 3.5 litre V8, which actually runs very sweetly. Moving around, I've got some Corolla doors. They're actually going to, an enthusiast is going to be picking those up on Monday, and that came from this car here, which will be going to the crusher very shortly. Now, the only reason I've got this car is that I used to run one of these Corollas, a 2000 Corolla liftback, and this became spare parts and a new motor, because it had been hit up the rear. It was a new motor for my Corolla, and yeah, it was a low mileage car that unfortunately had been smacked up the rear, and it kept my Corolla going for many years until I sold it last year. Moving around, I won't take off the covers, but I've actually just given this to a friend. This particular car, it does have a fair bit of rust in it, but it is a 3.5 litre. Again, I continue that Rover vein, but it's a 3.5 litre Rover Vanden Plas Series 2, about an 84 model. This one doesn't have any motor and gearbox in it, but the young fella that I've given it to has dreams of turning it into a bit of a track car, which would be perfect for that because it's not complete. I've pulled a lot of things off it over the years. It is quite rusty, and he's got hopes of resurrecting it, having some fun with it at least. So I won't take the covers off, but that's that particular car. Now, overtaken, claimed, gone to God. How very sad. This particular car, a Jensen Healey, almost split in half when I loaded it onto the trailer. As you can see, there's the hard top there. The body panels are they're just cactus. They're just no good at all. Unfortunately, when I found this car, it had been sitting outside. The owner had driven it, had parked it outside, right near the ocean at Crescent Head in the mid-north coast of New South Wales, and had actually just left it there for over 20 years. And of course, the thing was terminal. The doors were pulled off it, and it had just rotted to the point that it's just no longer salvageable. There are parts on here that I can use as cuts, and under here is a motor, which I will be pulling out because a friend would like to have that motor. I've got to get to that, and I've got sets of wheels and various other things and a hard top, but I'll probably buy or claim another hard top. I have been offered a hard top for free, but it's in South Australia that's in better condition than that, so I'll probably grab that. Coming over here, another P6 Rover, again unfortunately very, very rusty, but it's got the 3.5 litre V8, auto box, and again only worthy probably for parts. Well, not probably, definitely for parts. It's been picked over and used, and yeah, it's just only really any good for parts, but hey, if it saves a car or two, that's just awesome.